Welcome guys, it's Jack from the Big Game Report. This is the first episode of our NBA 2019-20 season preview. Today we'll be starting with the Atlanta Hawks and running through all 30 teams throughout the preseason before the season starts. Starting off, we'll look at the starting five, the depth that they have coming off the bench and what they need to improve on if they're to better themselves from last year. So starting off in the point guard position, we have the mercurial Trey Young. Trey Young, second year player, had a terrific second half of his rookie season and he even pushed close to winning Rookie of the Year, taking it off Luka Doncic, who in the start of the season had it all wrapped up. Trey Young has a terrific outside game and he's got one of the best passing motions in the game as well. He's able to pinpoint targets and free teammates, especially one who is also in the starting lineup, John Collins. They seem to have a great connection between one another, frequently getting onto lob passes. In the shooting guard position, we have Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter is one of those players that jumped onto the scene last year and is a terrific three-point shooter. He complements the rest of the team really well and expands the floor like no other young player can. He seems to have a bit of young Kyle Korver about him, as he's probably one of the better three-point shooters coming out of college. He helps the team and is one of those other young players which Atlanta have a fair few of, which are going to grow together, and they honestly are on track to be a little bit of a dynasty. In the small forward position, we have DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter was specifically looked by at Atlanta and they targeted him in the draft. They had pick 8 and pick 17 and pick 22 and they sent them across to New Orleans to acquire the 4th overall pick, which they selected Andre Hunter with because that's where he was projected to go. They selected him knowing that he was a great 3-and-D player and they specifically needed a starting player at the small forward position. At the power forward position, we have John Collins. He's one of the players that are coming up with this Atlanta Hawks team. They didn't have him at the start of last year due to injury and it really impacted them. They weren't winning many games and struggling to score offensively and struggled defensively. But since he came back last year, they looked a lot more competitive and it started to bring out the best in players like Trey Young and Kevin Huerter. He looks like he's a good leader on the court as well. He's one of those players who doesn't have the longest length about him, but he's very athletic and he uses that to his best ability by making shots a lot of players wouldn't and finishing off rebound putbacks. 20 points, 10 rebounds machine, and he'll look to push that up to 25 points, 10 rebounds this season as his growth develops. Starting in the center position, we have Alex Len, who had copped a lot of criticism through his playing career, picked number 4 from the Phoenix Suns, and he barely offered them anything. But last year, he showed the league that he isn't just a scrub. He was able to put back a lot of rebounds and score a lot of three-pointers in the end of the season. And that's why he locks down this starting position and they didn't trade in another center. There is a lot of few backup players in this position Atlanta have, so they're able to switch through, but I think the experience of Alex Len in this inexperienced lineup that Atlanta have starting on the floor will really benefit them. He can be a leader to these young players who are all under 23 years old, and even though himself he's only going to be 26 by the time the season starts, he's got that more playing experience than the other guys. Now looking at their depth, they brought in a few players in the off-season. One in particular that I like is Evan Turner. He showed a lot of promise down at Portland and a fair few times he came on and I think he even got a triple-double at the end of last season. And they've got the ever-reliable Andre Beamery, who's always there to give cover to Trey Young, as is Evan Turner at that point guard position. They drafted a few other really good players, one in particular Cam Reddish, who slid down the draft pecking order throughout the season. I hope that was because he couldn't fully shine in that Duke team, because he was projected to be a top 5 pick at the start of the season. He now has an opportunity to be back up to Andre Hunter or even take that spot off him. They also drafted Bruno Fernando, who is another center that adds depth to the center spot. He's a big man coming out of college. I don't think it will take him long to adjust to the NBA. He had a fair few good games in the summer league and looked like he had a very mature body. it always helps to have backup at the centre position. They also have a lot of experience off the bench with Alan Crabb, Damian Jones, recently acquired Jabari Parker and Chandler Parsons, who all add depth to a bench and experience. The starting lineup at the moment for the Atlanta Hawks is very young, and the main player that they have recently acquired back is Vince Carter. Him in the locker room with all these young players will definitely help them rise a lot quicker than it would otherwise. Having that experience and knowledge in not only on the court but in the locker room as well will help these players flourish into great stars of the competition. I think Atlanta this year will have a very good season. I can see them being competitive in not a completely dead East, but a lackluster Eastern Conference. Definitely going off of last season, these players have a lot of potential, and I can see them maybe even possibly scraping into an 8th position depending on how other teams play. Their chemistry looked very good at the end of last season, and I hope that continues this season. This has been the first NBA season preview. Comment down below which team you're most looking forward to us having a preview, and if there's any college teams or even NBL Euro teams that you'd like us to preview, we'll do that as well. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit that bell to stay tuned with when we next upload, and thank you for watching.